Welcome to Between the Sheets, the podcast where we're going to cover a variety of topics related to sexual health and wellness. I'm Dr. Stephanie Zwanitzer, your host. I'm a nurse practitioner and have been in practice since 2017. I have my Doctor of Nursing Practice degree, and I specialize in urology and sexual health. I am so excited to explore all of the various topics related to sexual health and wellness with you in a fun, spicy, educational, and non-judgmental manner. So come on, let's get between the sheets. Hey everybody, welcome back to Between the Sheets. I have two guests on with us today. We have James and Angela Mitchell here. James is a devoted husband and father and coach, passionate about living intentionally. Raised in the Bible Belt, he carried religious shame around intimacy into his marriage, like many of us have, creating struggles with communication and desire. He's committed to creating the most amazing ride or die marriage and life possible. He transformed himself and is now helping others do the same. Angela is a counselor turned coach and with nearly 20 years of experience helping families, couples navigate relationships with intention. She has degrees in sociology and counseling. She's trained in intimacy, trauma healing, and mindfulness. After becoming a single mom, she knew she wanted something different. So she and James have built a thriving, intentional partnership. Now a mom of three, she helps women own their priestess power to create deep, fulfilling relationships. Their unique approach to life and love help bring them this full spectrum of understanding and creativity to their work, guiding them towards their dreams, intentions, their goals, and together they are love intentionally. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, absolutely. So I see Milo didn't want me to be alone on this one either. So he let me have a buddy on this one. Welcome to the show. So tell me about Love Intentionally. How did this come about and what's the goal?
All right. So how did it come about? It's funny. We were trying to write our origin story today of Love Intentionally earlier. And it was this evolution, right? As most things are. So it really started with a premarital counseling fail.
Okay.
Counselor for 20 years, love counseling. And we went to premarital counseling really feeling like, oh, we're going to be proactive. We're going to have all these important conversations, really start off on a great foundation. And the counselor, bless her heart, was clearly used to working with couples in crisis. And so she kept talking about how fighting and conflict, and turns out what you focus on expands. So we actually started fighting more as a result of
yes.
So there was a moment where I walked out, which is not my personality, if you know me. And I'm like crying in the parking lot. James is consoling me and he's like, I think we can do this on our own.
Yeah.
So we really, from that, started creating an intentional life together. It started with going away for the weekend, having all these important conversations. And then it really kind of developed into this two-pronged thing where we did part strategic planning, like setting goals for our relationship and weaving intentionality into every aspect.
I brought a lot of that in with my entrepreneurial background and the business planning side of things. And so I was like, let's just make sure we're really working towards something together.
I love that.
I brought more as a counselor, more that like, how are we doing on communication? Are we connected? Let's talk about our sex and intimacy. Let's talk about, how we handle conflict, how we're doing as parents and co-parents. So all of that. So really started doing the work for ourselves and created this framework for it that then friends started noticing and wanting us to share with them what we were doing with our retreats, or we called it our marriage retreat when we go away every year and do this. And it was working for them too. So awesome. Fast forward the tape, and at some point we're like, you know what? We really want to bring this to more people and to do it in community, realizing that oftentimes when you're surrounded by other couples that are being intentional with their life and their relationship, there's a magic to it, right? Kind of a mastermind. Yeah. So we started creating retreats. We started facilitating them. We started doing 2-on-2 coaching. Now we're doing a lot around intentional intimacy. So what did I leave out? Anything out?
Hit all of the broad strokes. I love.
Great.
That's wonderful. It sounds like such an amazing thing, not only for the two of you in your own relationship, but how much you're helping other people. So tell me more about like now the focusing on the intimacy side of things. How does that work as you are working with couples? And, have you seen that a lot, that intimacy is a big issue for them?
So we started this annual marriage retreat, right?
Okay.
And Over the years, it's developed and fleshed out a little bit, but every single year there was the topic of our sex and intimacy.
Mhm.
And every single year we would get to that topic. Angela would cry. I would get frustrated, and we'd go into this old pattern. And
Mhm.
we felt really able to tackle that area by ourselves because
Mhm.
everything else was going really well. But every single year we were just clunking at that section. And so for me, sex has always been one of the biggest sources of pain and pleasure.
Mm.
And just the communication, also just let's call some unwinding that religious shame piece was
Yeah.
something that hadn't really happened yet. And that was when we really sought help. We sought our own coaching. And so
Mhm.
we got our own mentors in that area. We started going to our own retreats. And that became one of the biggest sources of healing and connection for us. And all the strategic life planning stuff started going so much better too.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
all the logistics of life turns out were a lot smoother when our intimacy, as specifically for me, our sex was really at a level that was like satisfying,
Yeah.
fulfilling.
And I would
Yeah.
say in working with other couples, what we often saw was that sex and intimacy was kind of like the tip of the iceberg, right? And you could honestly tell a lot about how a couple was connecting and communicating and how they were
Mhm.
handling conflict and repairing conflict and all that by what their sex and intimacy looked like, right?
Sure.
And so we found out if we kind of went down a layer deeper under that tip of that iceberg
Mhm.
and started digging into some of that, couples were able to make really big shifts that then allowed them to have the great sex and intimacy
Mhm.
they're looking for.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I can imagine that, and I've been married in the past, so I've have relationships and things like that. And so I can imagine from my own relationships and what you're saying that if the intimacy isn't there, there's probably a reason for it.
Mhm.
And peeling back the layers to find where the disconnect actually is super important to being able to repair the intimacy part.
You
Yeah.
just landed on, I think, my favorite part of intimacy coaching is that it roots out all of the other areas where somebody's falling short or not
Mm.
expressing their wants or needs, or they have and they're not being met, so resentment's being
Mhm.
built. Like we're like, okay, well let's get more connected in intimacy. We have these intimacy styles that we work with,
Okay.
and we were very classic. We work with 7 styles.
Okay.
We were very classic back in the day. I was the sexual style. I wanted all intimacy sexual in order for me to feel emotionally connected. And guess which one Angela wanted?
Physical touch or emotion?
Yeah.
There it
Yep.
Yeah.
is. There it is. Give me some emotional intimacy, and then I'll want to.
Yeah, there we go.
How are we just missing each other?
Yeah. We
Right?
were
Yeah.
wanting the same thing. We were wanting to feel connected, right? We were just going about it at different ways because we had different
Yeah.
intimacy styles. And so, yeah, we were missing each other.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to be together and connect in a way that feels good for both of you when you're not hitting the mark of the other person's needs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what we work with a lot of couples on is then how do we identify what our own style is, right? And then become aware of our partner's style and realizing that as we start filling each other's intimacy buckets,
Hmm.
this thing happens where our own gets filled as well, right? It's kind of like
Yeah.
it starts to rise the level of all the intimacy buckets and all the types when we're just intentional about meeting those different needs.
Yeah, that's amazing. So can you tell me which the 7 are?
Sure.
It's great. It's a great pop quiz. Let's do it. All right. So we got our sexual, we got our emotional, we have our
Okay.
intellectual, we have
Okay.
our experiential, we have our spiritual, we have our intellectual.
I think you already
Did I
said
say
that
that
one.
one?
Yep, set intellectual.
Experiential,
Mhm.
spiritual.
It's really funny. Thanks.
There's a couple more though. There's a couple more.
All right, so I saved the best for last. So maybe we got 5 out, maybe we got 6, but the best one is the 7th one. It's called co-creation intimacy, our creation intimacy, right? And
Interesting.
so
What's that?
when we're firing on all these levels and we've got our emotions going, our physical intimacy going, which is different than sexual, and that's the one that I missed.
Mhm.
Okay, so physical
Okay.
intimacy,
Physical touch. Yeah.
right?
Affection.
When we're firing on all those cylinders, and we also then have this strategic life plan, or what we call the relationship North Star. Where are we going? For example, we're living in South America for a year right now. This has been one of our relationship North Stars. And when we get all these things firing, creation intimacy and co-creation intimacy starts to happen because this life that we've imagined and we've dreamed of
Mm.
starts showing up, and we get to start experiencing it in its full glory. And that's one of the favorite things that we get to help people do.
That is awesome. That sounds great. So how do you help people figure out which style they are?
Great question. So we do have a quiz for it, which
Okay.
helps.
That definitely helps.
And
Yeah.
a lot of people, once we, kind of even without the quiz, before we created that, we could talk to people and, what are the things that you do that where you feel most connected, right? And for some people, it's like, oh, when we're discussing, some in-depth topics, some podcasts we just listened to and we're getting into it. Okay. And you like intellectual intimacy, right?
Yeah.
Oh, I love when we go out on a mountain bike together and go camping and have these experiences. Okay. You're experiential, right? So oftentimes you can tell, just by those kind of things. What are the things that really help you feel connected to your partner?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That makes so much sense. I mean, I think everyone in the world has heard of the 5 love languages, that the Gary Chapman book.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think, we all have some familiarity with that, but it is different when it comes to intimacy and sex, what your needs are. Feeling loved and fulfilled in a relationship may or may not include physical intimacy for some people. And so I think diving deeper into, okay, this is what I need like on a daily basis just to feel loved and to survive. But to want to be intimate with you and to desire that part of our relationship might be a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
And we all have different sized buckets, right?
Yeah.
So whether I need it or not, like just on or off, most of us live somewhere in that middle zone. So and there's also different seasons, right? So in this
Yes.
season, this is something that I'm really feeling called towards, or I'm feeling more tender, or I'm feeling more whatever, right?
Mhm.
And then are you familiar with the erotic blueprints?
Yes, we actually did an episode on that a few weeks back.
Perfect, right? So this one dovetails directly on that.
Okay.
In terms of its erotic blueprints is mostly, it's about sex, like how you
Yeah.
want to connect sexually.
Yep.
And so sex is one form of intimacy, and it's a big form of intimacy, and there's
Yes.
so much there. And a lot of times what would happen for me is I put so much energy into that one. A lot of the other buckets where like she had actually a real bucket and I had like a thimble,
Yeah.
like I didn't even realize they were there. Right.
Right.
And I do everything I can to bring love and comfort and pleasure to her, right? And so however that can be, I'm willing to do that. And so when we take things, and this is one of our kind of our secret sauces here, is we'll work with couples to create a how to love me list. Okay. And so it's like, give me literally a manual on what you want,
Yeah.
right, to feel loved and to fill up those buckets, whatever size they are. And so we'll take the 5 love languages. Absolutely. We'll take the erotic blueprints. Absolutely. And we take these intimacy styles and we'll help that person craft a very specific list about these are the things that you do or can do that make me feel loved. And then it's her job, right, if I'm going to give her my list, to just do one a day.
Yeah.
How accessible is it to fill up your partner's love bucket once a day?
Right. Yeah, I love that. It gives people a very manageable way of improving their relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're all about like, what are we want to give people tangible tools. What is something you can actually implement today that is not that hard, but it's often those subtle shifts that then just start. It's a momentum thing, right? It starts the ball rolling. And before you know it, you're not even having to look at the list anymore. It's just becoming habit that you're doing those things, right? James loves physical touch, right? And so for a while, I remember that was one of the things on his list was like, if we were in the car, he wanted me to put my hand on his leg or on the back of his neck. And for a while, I'd have to remind myself, we'd be in the car and I'd be like, oh, I'm supposed to put my hand somewhere,
Yeah.
Touch that man quick.
Right. Alarm goes off on your phone. It's time to touch James.
Now, I mean, that was years ago. Now I don't even think about it. It's like habit for me. We get in the car and I often put my hand on his leg while he's driving or those kind of things. So, so it's little things that really can just shift the momentum in a relationship. If you are feeling disconnected or maybe just the intimacy isn't there or what it used to be, right? There's these little things that I think couples can do that can really shift that momentum.
Yeah.
To double click on that too, there is a lot of power that comes when a person says, this is what makes me feel loved. These are the things
Mhm.
that make me feel loved. And then all of a sudden your ride or die does that. You get the opportunity to actually receive that love instead of putting a
Yeah.
little like, oh, well, I asked them to do that, or they like starting to put the whatever stipulations on it. You're just like, no, I get to
Right.
fully receive this now because I said this
Yeah.
is what I want. Now I'm getting it.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. Do you find a lot of couples come to you in a decent place and they just want to get closer, or a lot of people coming to you kind of in a bad place in their relationship and they want to make big changes or just save their marriage?
Yeah. So mostly what we do is work with couples that are solid. They're
Mhm.
wanting to be together. They're not pondering divorce or breakup, but they just are wanting to add some more intention, add some
Mhm.
more depth. Often they're coming to us at a time of transition. We went
Okay.
through about a year ago or so, we had all these empty nesters or almost empty nesters coming to us, which was kind of just
Yeah.
this influx of wave we had. And for them, it was, hey, we've done a great job raising kids together and doing this whole life
Great
thing.
partners in that.
Yeah. And now the kids are leaving the house or getting ready to leave the house. And we want to make sure we like each other still, like that we're going to have
Mhm.
fun when it's just the two of us. We want to
Yeah.
make sure we're good going into that transition. Sometimes it's new parents, right? Adding, when
Mhm.
you have a kid, right? If when you add a kid to the mix, it can put a lot of, changes into a relationship and
Yeah.
some tension sometimes, and people are tired and, all of that. So really we work with a lot of couples in transition, but that are intending to stay together. They just,
Yeah.
every couple has their times, their seasons that are more challenging, or their area. They might be great in 9 areas, and then there's this 10th area that's a little challenging.
I would
Yeah.
say, well, there are so many resources out there that are Save Your Marriage. There's a lot of
Mhm.
resources out there to do marriage planning and things like that, but they're really rooted in the church.
Yeah.
What we work with is that solid couple that wants to really excel and
Mhm.
move into some new territory, right? Partnering with some people that are doing some things that they maybe haven't had the chance to do yet, and really want somebody to guide them to that and hold them
Yeah.
accountable to greatness as a couple.
Yeah, I think that's fantastic. I think you're right. There are a lot of things for the beginning of marriage and for crisis in marriage, but not really for those that are happy and just want to be even happier,
Mhm.
even
Yeah.
closer.
Right.
Or just need a tune up,
It's just tune up.
Yeah.
I mean,
We all need
Yeah.
a tune up sometimes.
most people
Yep.
invest the most money people invest in their marriage is in one day.
Yeah.
It-
That's very
right,
true.
Mhm.
absolutely. And then we give them the keys to marriage, and whoever taught them how to quote unquote drive, right, their family and then their
Yep.
spouse's family, and then we're all just blending all together, and nobody's ever really helped us figure out what this thing is and can truly be.
Yeah.
And what's really cool about couples in love is they can change the world, right? Because when
Yeah.
we're connected and we're jiving, everything is possible.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's great. And I think, for me, having been married in the past and being single currently, like that is something that speaks to me because I've been in that relationship that was in crisis mode. I've had the good, the bad, and the ugly. And next time around, there'll be a next time around. My idea of what I want and what I'm looking for are so vastly different because my idea of what marriage is now is so different. I got married when I was 19. I had been raised Catholic my entire life. And my kid's dad was raised in the church as well. His dad's a pastor. And so we had very different views on what a marriage should look like versus what I want my marriage to look like, and the love and the intimacy and the respect that I want in a marriage. So I think it's really great that you are exploring this with people because we do go through different phases. I'm closer to the empty nesting. I have one in college and one still at home. So my life and what I'm looking for now is very different than what I looked for when I was first divorced and my kids were 4 and 6.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
whenever you find that part, we got something for you. We got
excellent. I'm going to be
the
taking this quiz. I'm going to find out all my intimacies.
oh,
Tell me about the retreats that you do. What is involved with that?
oh, so much awesome community, right?
So we have 2 versions actually.
Okay.
We have the DIY where it's videos we've recorded, It's a, kind of itinerary to follow, a workbook to follow. So if couples, it's a way to get our retreats out to more people. It takes
Mhm.
lower resources, right? Financially and time wise, right? For a couple just to go do it on their own. So we have that available as an easier entry point for those who need it. And then we do facilitated retreats. And like James was saying, there's, they're pretty magical with just when you get, usually it's 5 or 6 couples we have together for a facilitated retreat, who are all there because they really care about having an awesome marriage and awesome life and awesome connection and intimacy.
That's Angela's way to say it. I prefer to phrase it, they give a shit about being married.
Yes, love it.
So
But that, again, it's the difference between the emotional person and the more like let's get to it person.
Yeah. And this is one of the reasons we love facilitating things together, because we get to bring both perspectives that complement each other. But yeah, it is that kind of 2-prong that I mentioned at the beginning, where it's part strategic planning, setting goals, looking at the different areas of your life, checking in, how are we doing in this area? What do we want to keep? What's anything we want to change or different, or goals we need to set? And then we also have connection and intimacy kind of exercises and activities for couples to do. There's a good bit of time where couples go off on their own to do work, and we go around and check on them. And then
is this like a tie on the door situation?
Yeah, exactly.
Can be.
Can be. We want for that. But yeah, where we'll go check on them if they're doing their own work, and do some coaching.
That's what we're calling it. Doing their own.
Yeah. And then,
is it a weekend or how long is it?
Yeah, it's usually about 3 days.
Okay.
So yeah, and then we have some group time as well, where we kind of debrief and share ideas, and that's always on our feedback forms at the end. That's some of their favorite times is when they're really getting to share and learn from each other and the other couples, and kind of that mastermind is created of ideas.
Which is funny, because the number one reason they don't want to come is because other couples might hear about their stuff.
Dirty laundry. Yeah. And then it's always what they end up loving the most at the end.
What's most personal is most universal, and we weren't meant to do this work alone, right? So those retreats can be a really great thing. We do have them in a DIY format. Same thing, same curriculum, but you can just do it on your own. So you can not have to deal with all that community if that's not what you're into. But you do choose that you want to at least get away once a year with your ride or die, your spouse, your partner, whatever you call them, and really put some intention in where you're taking this thing, right? And not just like the results of the relationship, but where you're taking the love of the relationship, how deep you can get.
Yeah, that's wonderful. So you have you suggest they take a once a year kind of trip to do that. Do you suggest any like monthly or weekly maintenance kind of conversation where you check in, see where we're at, how are we doing on filling buckets?
Yep.
Absolutely. So a lot of this was formed from the entrepreneurial background, right? That I was bringing into this mixed with the counseling. So we tend to attract a lot of entrepreneurial couples, or at least a couple where one person is in the entrepreneurship arena, right? And so they understand the power of setting goals for their business on an annual basis. They also understand the power if you just write those goals down on a piece of paper and then shove it in a drawer for the next 364 days, ain't shit gonna happen. Right? So what we want to do is we subscribe to a once a year retreat, a once a quarter date check-in, right? It's fun too. This isn't like all business. Like we're not like putting on a paint suit and showing up, It's like, what can we do that's going to make this fun once a quarter?
Yeah.
So we kind of revisit those goals we set out at the retreat, see how we're doing, check in on them, right?
And then we do a weekly, what we call check and connect.
So we have a weekly relationship meeting.
Awesome.
We have children, we have jobs, we are traveling, and there are logistics that need be covered. The main one is, what are people going to be eating this week? How are we going to feed our children? They like to eat
many times a day,
all the time, right? And so for me, if I'm doing logistics all the time, like just like a little here, a little there, it feels like it's happening all the time. And so what we do is on Sunday, so anytime on Sunday, we've got some Facebook videos and some other stuff just talking about this. We'll happily, this is one of the things that we can send to you, you can give out for free. We just go through this just checklist of topics to have the conversation on.
So the first one is an emotional check-in. And we feel like one is super important. Just like, where are you at? How's your heart? How are we doing?
Yeah.
Right? An emotional check-in.
Am I getting enough sex this week? Like,
Yeah.
And that one is, I think has been a real game changer for us too, just
Mhm.
having that time to be able to share, and it can nip things in the bud that might be brewing, resentments or whatever. It can just even
Yeah.
let each other, it doesn't have to do with the other person. I remember one time James was like, I'm feeling overwhelmed this week. And I was like, what? That's my job in the relationship to feel overwhelmed. Feel
Yeah.
overwhelmed. But then I knew that week to not ask him to do extra errands. Maybe I
Yeah.
could do the Costco run instead, right? It allowed us to be set up for success because I knew that. And I could give him a little
Yeah.
grace that week if he was a little more snappy or whatever.
Yeah.
So yeah, we do an emotional check-in, then we do a logistics run through part of that. So we do kind of this calendar check, the meal planning, do we want to do anything outside? Are we going to exercise? Are we going to be social? And then importantly, we also schedule sex at that meeting,
Okay.
which some people think is not sexy. And my response
Right.
is always, well, do you know what's less sexy? Is not having sex. That is
Not
less
having
sexy.
sex. I love it. Yep. So true.
So we schedule once a week. That is more of an intentional. That doesn't mean we're only going to
Yeah.
have sex once a week, or that even if you get to that day that you have to, it's still consensual,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
But that our intention is to carve out that time
Yeah.
to really just spend with each other and connecting intimately.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
intentional intimacy time, and a lot of times that does turn into sex.
Yeah.
And sometimes it doesn't.
That doesn't have, if that's not on
Yeah.
the table, then it's how else can we be intimate? Can we cuddle and rub each other's feet or
Mhm.
whatever?
Two things are coming up for me. Number one, so yes, that's the recipe: annual, quarterly, weekly. And story in my head is that there are some people that will listen to us talk, and one of the people in the relationship is going to go like, "Oh, fuck yeah, like this is my jam," and the other
Yeah.
person like, "When are we going to have time to do all this?
Yes.
How does this, like, what do we? This sounds like so much, and it's excruciating."
Yeah.
And to that, I will say, at this point, so many things go very smooth. We have systems in place, and
Mhm.
anything that you do repeatedly becomes habit, and that habit
Right.
can start to happen in that non-conscious, brain. Like it was just happening,
Yeah.
right? And so over time, these things will shift. And what I will say is that it's worth it, right? This connection, this
Mhm.
intimacy, we get to have a lot more of it because we're not spending all of our time running back to the grocery store because we forgot whatever,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
On Sunday, we're not scrambling around to get some shit done that we didn't remember, right? So because of this intentionality in our strategic life, it creates so much more space for us to connect,
Mhm.
just to be together,
And be present.
be
Yeah.
present.
Yeah.
I love that. I love that. Mindfulness is something that I practice in my life very frequently. Hopefully every day, but frequently. Things get in the way. But, it sounds like that's really what this is just being very mindful, very intentional, very demure, if you will. No, from the TikTok trend. But, I think it's such a great way to connect and to bring a whole nother level to your relationship. I really love this.
Thank you.
Thanks. Yeah.
Yeah.
And a lot of it, the fun part of us being a couple is that we
Yeah.
try all the things on ourselves first. We are our own
Sometimes
Yes.
twice, just to be
Yeah,
sure.
that's right.
And so we try all these things first before we suggest it to a couple. So we have really done all the research on our
Yeah.
end to make sure these things we're suggesting are working, right, and add value. And so whether it's the weekly meeting or something around sex and intimacy, we're our own guinea pigs. We try it out, make sure it works,
Yeah.
and then we pass on the best tools to people. So
And that was really the shift for us that brought us from doing this just for ourselves to feeling this call to bring it to others. Is
Mhm.
we really put so much intention and energy to figure these systems out, and they work.
Yeah.
And from where I sit, one, if I have the ability to bring more love to the world and just talk about intimacy and sex all day, like I'm gonna do it.
Yep.
Right? It's pretty
Yep.
great. And on the other hand, is that we've been gifted this knowledge / experience in the way that we choose to operate that brings this sense of duty that we can help bring more love to the world. Like I said earlier, couples in love change the world. This is what
Yeah.
shifts the way it feels at home and takes tension out and brings families back together, heals hearts, especially in this intimacy. Sexual development, the woman who did Erotic Blueprint said sexual development is the final frontier of personal development.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we for a lot of couples we work with, people have done their own personal development work. They've worked
Gone to
on
a retreat.
gone to retreat.
Yep.
They worked
Yep. Read every self-help book.
Yeah.
Some plant medicine by themselves one time.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So they did all those things, and now this is the interesting thing. There's a couples therapist, Terry Real, you might be familiar with him. He says that we marry our unfinished business. Right.
Oh,
So
interesting.
yeah, which I love because it sounds at first you're like, oh, marry my unfinished business. I got more work to do. But there's also a beauty in it, right? That I can do all this healing and I can work on all my stuff, right? And feel so great. And I'm all healed up over here. And then he does that thing that triggers that childhood wound or whatever it was. And all of a sudden, it just brings it all up again, right? And as hard as that can be, it also then allows for real healing to take place, right? Because now it's been brought to the surface again. And because most of our wounds are relational, healing, I believe, happens relationally too, right?
Yeah.
So then we get to heal through that.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree, because there are things that in previous relationships have, caused issues or things for me. And so in the dating world now, when I'm single, I'm great. Like nothing bothers me because I know how to take care of me. But as soon as I'm in a relationship again, it's all this anxiety and stuff. Oh, they didn't call me back. Is something going on? Or is there, oh, I didn't see them for several days in a row. Does that mean they're not interested anymore? And you can't fix those things when you're not in a relationship, because you don't get triggered by them. And so same thing in a committed relationship. You're not going to be triggered by certain activities or things if you're not in that connected relationship. And so when that comes up, I can see how, you need to take a pause and work through it. It doesn't matter how much self-work you've done. It's that partnership too.
Yeah. And then you throw the layer of sexual intimacy on top, right? And that's just, like James said before, it's such a, pain and pleasure point for people, literally, right? And so, it can be vulnerable. It can bring up all sorts of stuff, right? And so it's, usually once people have done a good bit of personal development work, then they can really use the sexual development work as a form of healing and growth and expansion and all sorts of beautiful things.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Yeah, I think this is such a great conversation. I'm just absolutely loving it. The intimacy side of things, sex obviously is a huge part of it. I mean, I have a whole podcast about sex. But one thing that I see at work though too is I do have some patients that can't have sex anymore for a variety of reasons, whether it's her issues or his issues or a combination of issues. I have men whose wife has dementia or, and then they don't feel comfortable. They feel like they're, not consensual if they're doing things, or women who have pain with sex or a variety of reasons. And it's so nice to know that there are other forms of intimacy and that there are other ways to negotiate intimacy without having to penetrate, for example. And I think what you're doing is allowing people to find that on a deeper level, that they don't only find intimacy through penetrative sex.
Yeah.
I found that was one of the more profound sort of awakenings for me in this process. Was every time I wanted intimacy, I just was like, I want sex.
Right.
And when I started to realize, I was like, actually, no, I'm kind of tired, or I'm really not. When I feel emotional and vulnerable is like when I want sex the absolute least.
Yeah.
But we're like so emotionally connected. And it's really kind of this strange thing, because when I'm feeling that way and I want sex the least, that's when she wants it the most.
I'm like, he's being so vulnerable. It's so attractive.
So it gave me permission, and I like to give. I love puns. The word mintimacy, for mint, right? It gave Jen the ability to just say, you know what, I do just want to snuggle. Like maybe we can be naked, and that's cool. Like I'd be down with that, but like I just want to snuggle. Okay, and what really got me aware and feeling through this whole process is the men's work that I was doing. There's an awesome guy, Jordan Bowditch, University of Man. And I've been doing his retreats and have support coached him for years. And we get to go there as men and practice intimacy, right? Through emotions and, through physical, although we're not snuggling. Although, I mean, why not?
Hey, it's all right. Cuddling is cuddling.
Yeah. Well, not yucky yum, right? But
yeah.
People like, if you're listening, you're like, oh, men and intimacy. Well, if you've ever played football, people who have been in the military together, right? There are all these super manly things that create the biggest impact for men. And it's because they're experiencing intimacy with a group of men, and that's a brotherhood, right?
Yeah.
And so, I would encourage men out there, if they're feeling through this intimacy, is like, hey, maybe I can, like, where are my brothers out there? Where's some men's work that I can do so I can practice this intimacy in a different form, and then I can bring that home, in a very heart-centered masculine way.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, it's such a great point. And I think just society wise, especially, I know you guys are in South America now, but in the United States, we have such a men don't show emotions kind of attitude, and it's toxic.
Yeah. I was born and raised in Texas.
Yes. Yep.
So I'm familiar with how masculinity can express itself.
Yeah, for sure. I can imagine. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And so tell me more about how would one of your couples, if they are struggling kind of connecting with that intimacy level, they've read through your 7 different things, they're kind of trying to figure out where they're at. How do you kind of push them to get there?
So we usually, so it depends. Obviously, each couple is unique, but if it's a couple who hasn't been intimate in a while, and we've worked with couples that's been the case for various reasons, right? Sometimes it starts as a health reason, right? And then it just kind of snowballs, after a baby's born, right? You can have sex for a while, and then you're tired, and then all of a sudden it's been a year. And so when couples are just getting back into it, we just really encourage starting with little steps to break the ice, right? So we'll suggest, are you familiar with the 3-minute game?
I'm not. Please explain.
Dr. Betty Martin created it.
Okay.
So great.
And so it's a lie, though. It's 12 minutes, but the 3-minute game is, I'll try to explain it briefly, but you basically spend 3 minutes in these 4 different areas. So the first 2, I'm going to be touching James. It's all based on consent. This is all consensual.
She's giving.
I'm giving the touch, and he's receiving it, right?
Okay. So that's what I want. It's the touch that I wanted.
Yeah. How would you like me to touch you for the next 3 minutes? And we tell couples to start off PG. Okay.
Yeah.
Scratch your back.
Right. Rub your shoulders.
Rub your hands.
Yeah.
Rub their hands. A foot rub. Right. It's just hold hands, whatever it takes.
Yeah.
Right?
That touch is for James, and I'm giving, he's receiving. And when you set the timer, and for 3 minutes, we're fully present. I'm fully giving, he's fully receiving, right? I can ask for feedback. Is this the kind of pressure you wanted, right? It's a way to build communication around physical touch and intimacy as well. Yeah. And then the next round is for my benefits. So I'm still touching him, but he asks me, how would you like to touch me?
So it's touch me the way that she wants to, with my consent. It's also called the wheel of consent. So that's at the base of this, is we're asking for what we want.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm going to say, oh, I'd love to rub my fingers through your hair. Right. And he might say, you know what? My hair's looking pretty good today. I got my man.
You're going out
like,
don't touch it.
My hair. Right.
Yeah. How dare you?
Okay. How about your arm? Can I massage your arm? Okay. Yes. Great.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. And then we switch, and then he gives, and I receive the touch I want. And then he touches me how he wants to.
Okay.
Put a bow on this. There's a giver and a receiver in one setting. And then there's a taker and an allower. Okay. The taker, like me, I'm like, that's me touching her body the way that I want. Right.
Yeah.
With her consent. Right. So, and again, so this is just getting this, asking for what we want, communicating that. And then whenever we're getting into that touch, right? So if somebody hasn't been intimate, hasn't really been even physically intimate, touched or kissed, it could just like again, like let's just sit like this where we're touching each other. Right? And we set a timer for 3 minutes, and it creates this safety, because once the timer goes off, the roll's over, right?
Yeah.
The press is gone, and then we can shift into this next roll.
Yeah.
So yeah, that for instance is one of the tools that we just use
Great
to
game.
get couples just break that ice, right? Get them
Yeah.
back.
We work that game a lot on all the scales, like, because then you can play it PG, and then you can play it
Sure.
13, and then you can just like
Yeah.
ratchet it up.
Flex,
Yeah.
whatever. Right?
Yeah, whatever
Yeah.
whatever you go into, like we can get into.
Yeah. That's great. I love that. I had not heard of that game before, so thank you for teaching that. That's awesome. Yeah, very
Sure.
cool. Now, I've learned so much today, and this is just such a fantastic topic. And I think, so many relationships, marriage or otherwise, can really benefit from being more intentional and creating a deeper level of intimacy. So I really appreciate you guys sharing today.
Thanks
for
so
having
much.
us. We love talking
Yeah,
about it.
absolutely. And for anybody that's listening, we'll put links in the show notes so you guys can find them and learn more about their retreats and their DIY programs that they have for you to tap into and grow your relationship. So thanks so much for listening along today, and we'll see you next time on Between the Sheets. Thank you for listening and spending time with me today. You can catch new episodes of Between the Sheets every Wednesday, because what better way to add some spice to your life than to have a new podcast on Hump Day? We will continue to explore common, uncommon, and taboo topics related to sexual health and wellness. Please send any comments, questions, or stories to podcastbetweenthesheets@gmail.com. That's all one word, podcastbetweenthesheets@gmail.com. Have a great day. And remember how important it is to discuss these topics with your friends, your family, and of course your partners. In fact, you can like, follow, and share this podcast so they can see it too. See you next time for more sexual health topics Between the Sheets.